Hello and welcome to Newsfeed, your daily dose of what people are talking about online, from news stories to what's trending. Amazon has become the latest tech giant to crack down on staff ignoring return-to-office orders. While the pandemic showed us that we can work remotely and be just as productive, big tech is determined to scale back on work from home. Amazon shot off this email to U.S. staff recently who haven't been clocking in at least 3 days in the office. And trust me, this email didn't go down well with its recipients, who are accused of not meeting expectations in joining their colleagues in the office, even though their assigned building is ready. Amazon staff have been venting against the email and the company's return-to-office policies on Blind, a social media platform where workers can speak anonymously about their employers. In response to the backlash, Amazon says the email was meant to address the issue of staff not using their workplace ID badges to enter office buildings, to which many employees say simply isn't true.
Amazon's return-to-office mandate has been met with protests and upset employees, and the company just added to the fire. The tech giant sent an email scolding employees for not following the new return-to-office policy of at least 3 days a week. But the problem is, some of the employees who received the email say they have been going into the office as requested. A spokesperson for Amazon confirmed the email to Fortune and said the error was an oversight. Still, this email shows Amazon's strict measures for employees coming back to the office, which is a big change from a year ago. Last September, CEO Andy Jassy said they didn't have a plan to require people to come back. But 5 months later, Jassy issued a company-wide policy requiring employees to come back to the office 3 days a week, even if that meant that some remote workers would have to move to cities where the company has offices. And those that choose not to relocate would be considered to have voluntarily resigned their position.
You'd think that the pandemic would have normalized remote work for most people, but the latest stats say the majority of the workforce is still primarily at the office. Only 12% of full-time employees work from home completely, whereas nearly 30% have adapted to a hybrid model. While these numbers are significant, they're still very little compared to how 98% of workers want to work remotely, at least sometimes. Almost everyone is envious of the flexibility, autonomy, and work-life balance remote workers have, but that's a no-go for most companies. While only 16% of companies operate fully remotely, others are slowly embracing parts of their pandemic habits. And looks like online job interviews will be among the habits that will stick, as a whopping 93% of employers plan to stick with looking for prospective staff over on Zoom. That's a win for now, at least. All right, on to another story about capitalism, this time told through the clash of two CEOs, the long-awaited Musk versus Zuckerberg cage fight. Now, for a good while, I was in the camp that believed this would never happen. But Musk's recent tweets, yes, I still call them tweets, has made it look like things are in motion for this ridiculous event that no one asked for. I repeat, no one. Talking to the Italian PM Giorgia Meloni and arranging for the fight to be at the Colosseum? Sure, Musk. Well, it was up to Zuck to ground us back to reality. While the Meta CEO is very much into the challenge, he said if anything was set, you'd hear it from him. And now he says it's time to move on because Musk is not serious about it. Musk didn't confirm a date and said he may need surgery before the fight, yet still asked for a practice round in Zuck's backyard. If I were Zuck, I'd be calling him out too. Now, if you're curious about Musk's response to all of this, don't be. He's busy goading Mark over on X. We all know how Elon is when he gets an opportunity to post about something in his echo chamber. Anyway, don't you think it's just ridiculous to see two men in the business of connecting people refraining from talking to one another and continuously sub-posting the other on their own websites like teens? Speaking of Zuckerberg, have you noticed more and more people getting verified on Meta's platforms? That's because Meta recently rolled out a subscription-based verification program in more parts of the world. This is how Instagram's head explained their vision for the blue checks back when they first announced it.
Let's talk about verification. Now, I post on Instagram a lot, and I read the comments. And the two things I see the most often are requests to be verified and requests for customer support. And as Mark announced in his Instagram channel the other day, we're offering a new service called Meta Verified. And what this is a subscription actually to a whole set of services. And the first is verification. Now we're going to use a government ID to verify that your picture and your name match that on your Instagram or your Facebook profile with that government ID. By the way, you have to be 18 or older. And with that comes proactive impersonation monitoring on your behalf as long as you have that subscription. The second feature is increased reach in search, in comments, and in recommendation surfaces like Explore. And the third is live chat support, so that there's someone that you can talk to, a real person, when you're having a problem to get the answers that you need and quickly. Now this is our first step into this space of subscriptions. And we see this as an industry-wide movement. We've seen YouTube do so, Twitter do so, Discord, Reddit, and others.
As Instagram chief Adam Mosseri said, this is an industry-wide trend at the moment, and it just goes to show how social media is completely changing. Once the symbol of notability, blue check marks are now becoming symbols of authenticity, even for regular people. Or is this just another way to tap into a new source of making money?
Is the era of free social media finally over? With the announcement of Meta Verified, they said it was an industry-wide movement to push services like this, which made me think that as these platforms grow, they're going to have to change the way they make money. Imagine if these platforms charged you to upload videos. Say you hit the upload button and it prompted you for a 99-cent fee. They could charge you for processing the videos faster than if you would if you didn't pay for it. Especially if you are being charged or get priority access in the algorithm, this could be big. This is an expense that I would budget, and I think a lot of brands would budget too, and they know that.
A record-setting Norwegian mountaineer has rubbish allegations she could have done more to save a Pakistani porter who died while climbing K2. Kristen Harila and her team have been dogged by claims that they were too focused on breaking the record for world's fastest climbers. They achieved the feat on July the 27th on K2, having climbed 14 of the world's highest mountains in just 92 days. But their record has been overshadowed by the death of porter Muhammad Hassan, who died several hours after slipping off a narrow trail on K2. Footage has now gone viral of Harila and her team stepping over his body. Two other climbers ascending K2 that day say the porter could have been saved if Harila's team aborted their climb and focused on getting him down safely. But Harila says the much criticized footage was shot after hours of work had gone into trying to save him.
We tried for hours to save him, and we were on probably the most dangerous area on the most dangerous mountain. And it's possible to do rescue of someone that cannot walk if you are below, but if you are in the bottleneck or above, I don't see it's possible without taking a very, very big risk. And on the snow condition we had up there that day, it wouldn't be possible to carry him down. And that's the main thing. And of course, I'm sure that if it was possible and we saw a chance to carry him down from there, everyone would have tried that, but it wasn't possible.
But Austrian climbing duo Wilhelm Steindl and Philipp Flamig have pointed out the holes in Harila's story. They were also on K2 on July 27th and say the injured porter was still alive when Harila's team stepped over him, and that only one person from her group tried to help him. In an interview with Austrian media, Steindl also accused Harila's group of racism and treating the Pakistani porter as a second-class human being, saying if he'd been a Westerner, he would have been rescued immediately, and that it's a disgrace that a dying human was ignored so that records could be set.
You
see a man trying to rub the porter's chest, trying to keep him warm, to keep him alive somehow. You can see that the man is desperate. We now know that this was his friend, also a Pakistani high-altitude porter. And in other drone footage, again, you see people climbing over the injured porter and climbing past him. And what you also see in the drone footage is a queue of 70 climbers marching towards the summit. If climbers can climb over one person and then still have the strength to walk up to the summit for 3, 4, maybe even 5 hours, then it's quite clear that you also had the strength to pull this climber down. And that is just the shame of K2, that nobody initiated a rescue operation. Nobody.
Shocking news coming from England, where police have reported a sharp rise in the number of vehicles being driven the wrong way down motorways. Nearly 900 incidents have been reported in the last year alone. That's an increase of 13%. Shocking pictures like these show speeding vehicles hurtling towards oncoming traffic. Alcohol and drugs are often found to have been taken by the majority of offenders, but an over-reliance on sat-navs is another common cause. Basically, some drivers are ignoring road signs and blindly following what their GPS is telling them. And needless to say, many of these incidents have serious and often fatal consequences. Motoring groups are recommending slip road sensors that could trigger roadside warnings. Remember 2 years ago when, in the wake of the cryptocurrency boom, the art world was turned on its head by NFTs? Well, non-fungible tokens, they're unique digital assets that exist on the blockchain. The likes of CryptoPunks and Nyan Cat became mainstream, but none were more famous than the Bored Ape Yacht Club. The 10,000-part series features an array of apes with different outfits and accessories and facial expressions. Bored Ape not only dominated the NFT market, but fundamentally shaped it. But now the bubble appears to have burst. Auction house Sotheby's, along with Madonna, Justin Bieber, and Paris Hilton, are being sued by investors for misleading promotion and price manipulation in a 2021 auction of over 100 Bored Ape images. Lawyers say Sotheby's auction turned out to be a farce and served as the starting point for a massive scheme that defrauded investors. The collection was sold to an anonymous buyer for $31 million, beating expectations by almost double. The value of many NFTs collapsed in the past year, and those falling prices have given rise to lawsuits targeting celebrities who promoted the assets, some of them rather shamelessly.
Forbes has named you one of the top 50 most influential people in the NFT space. So congrats on that. You know what you're doing.
Thank you. I'm so proud. I love being a part of this community and being a voice and sharing my platform and just getting the word out there, because I think it's just such an incredible thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I jumped in.
I know, I heard. I'm so happy I taught you what they were.
You did. You taught me what's up, and then I bought an ape.
I got an ape too, because I saw you on the show with people and you said you got a MoonPay, so I went and I copied you and did the same thing.
You did? Mm-hmm. This is your
mine.
ape. Are we debuting it?
It's really cool. Like the hat, the shades.
All right, on to what's trending. And lately, there's been quite a bit of buzz surrounding former U.S. President Barack Obama. But believe it or not, it's not about politics. Well, his LinkedIn profile has become a viral sensation, and netizens are absolutely intrigued by what they've found. From showcasing his academic achievements to flaunting his famed summer reading lists, his digital resume has it all. But his work experience section takes the cake, which obviously includes his time as the President of the United States of America. Naturally, the internet being the internet, jokes came out in full force. One user couldn't help but question the need for a LinkedIn profile when your entire life story is a Wikipedia page. Some eagle-eyed observers pointed out the irony of Obama's lack of post-presidential work experience in our current economy. Well, let's hope he finds a top-ranking position with only 8 years of major experience. Then, of course, those armchair career advisors offering their 2 cents on how he could stand out in the LinkedIn crowd. But most importantly, is he getting messages from recruiters for work opportunities? And that's our show. Find our latest shows on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.